Fireside Tales. Hello. I'm Merlin, Mililli. Welcome to my fireside, where I tell weird tales within tales, and I drink coffee. Drink coffee from my skull mug because I'm a deadhead. Spot more milk. So, every week here at Fireside Tales, I've been telling the story of the Grateful Dead as I heard it from a deadhead by a fire. But I haven't been telling the story of the Grateful Dead just because I'm a deadhead. I've been telling the story of the Grateful Dead because I believe it's a story about reincarnation. And every week here at Fireside Tales, we get a little weird and we talk about reincarnation. So, anyway, I also talk about meditation and a meditative place. It's a library called the Akasha or the Akashic Records. And I have a book in the Akashic Records, as does every soul, apparently. And my book in the Akashic Records is really big and really old and really dusty. And in this book, there are many lifetimes. And every week here at Fireside Tales, I talk a little bit about what's in my book in the Akashic Records. So, I also talk about different threads that connect each life to the next. They are all seemingly connected by these threads that I'm finding as I do more research into my book in the Akashic Records. So, one of the things that seems to be a thread is fires, and fire safety is of the utmost importance. And we're here in California. Fire season is wrapping up now. We've got some rain and cooler temperatures, so that's good. But still, we have to be safe about our fires. I have water in the kettle up there. I have water in my cauldron down here. And water in my sprayer around the corner. If you don't have water available, you can always, you should have water available if you're building a fire. But you can also use dirt, sand, a bucket of dirt or sand and a shovel and a bucket of water are really necessary if you're going to have an outside fire. If you have an inside fire, you should just have water available nearby, or a fire extinguisher even. Those are really good to have, though they're not a threat. I think there's only been a couple of lives where fire extinguishers have been a thing. So we have discussed fire safety before on the show. We also have discussed smudging, which is also a thread. I do not seem to have brought my lighter out. Smudging is, this is sage. It's dried sage, and it cleanses one's aura. I recommend smudging carefully, smudging without catching your house or yourself on fire. I recommend smudging before meditating. I recommend smudging before any kind of divination, like a reading of any sort. I recommend smudging before any kind of ritual. Smudging with sage. I've been doing it for a very, very long time. So the other thing I've been doing for a very long time, I'm just going to go ahead and put this out, is grounding. And I'm going to take off my shoes, and I recommend taking off your shoes. Being barefoot on the dirt is really best, but you don't have to be barefoot on the dirt, and you can be in socks. I just think shoes are a little binding for a good grounding. But you want to blow out all your negative energy. And breathe in positive energy until you breathe out positive energy. So if you ground and you smudge before a ritual or before a meditation or before a reading, you'll get the most positive outcome possible in the multiverse. And I always want the most positive outcome. So I seek out grounding and smudging and the most positive reading I can get. Bear. That's Bear whining over there, licking things and making weird noises for you. So another thread in my book, in the Akashic Records, is that I've been in every life, whether I knew it or not, a medium and a psychic. And I'm in this life a medium and a psychic also. And the spirits have a theory on reincarnation, which we're going to talk more about. And their theory is that everyone who's been reincarnated has also been murdered. So, with that in mind, I'm going to tell you as I do every week, the story of the Grateful Dead, as it was told to me by a deadhead by a fire. Oh, there's my lighter. Oh. It was under the pillow. Once, long, long ago, there was a traveler. It was so long ago that the traveler traveled by foot. And as she was traveling, she came upon a small village. She got closer to the village, she realized that there was a squabble amongst the villagers. As she got closer still, she noticed they were squabbling over a dead body. She didn't let it scare her, and she got closer still. And then she heard that they were squabbling over the dead man's debts and who was going to bury him and who was going to pay for that. The traveler thought the village people were being rather disrespectful to the dead man laying right below them. So she stopped the arguing and the squabbling, and she paid the dead man's debts, and she paid for a proper burial, and she prayed over the dead man's grave, and she traveled on. And then one day, decades later, she happened upon a life or death situation when out of nowhere, this stranger just swooped her up and saved her. The traveler, surprised and flabbergasted and grateful, and said, "Thank you, and who are you, and where did you come from, and why did you save my life?" And the stranger simply said, "I am the Grateful Dead." I think that was the best I ever told that story. And I tell it every week. I'm getting better, getting better. But I believe it's a story about reincarnation. And it is an old Buddhist story. And Buddhists do believe in reincarnation rather firmly. The Grateful Dead got it from the title of the old Buddhist story that comes from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And it's a story about reincarnation. It can't be a corpse that saves her life at the end, because corpses don't save lives. It's not a zombie. Zombies don't save lives either. It's a reincarnated person. One of the reasons we make this show is to define and clarify reincarnation for people, because people really don't seem to understand what reincarnation is. The body dies, and then the soul is reborn in another baby body, and it grows up and lives a whole nother life. And the spirits say that reincarnation happens because a person was murdered. So basically it's like a little safeguard so that people who are murdered can come back and try again. Because that's not just being murdered. It's not really fair when everyone else gets to run around. Anywho, in my book, there's also this weird watermark. And before the watermark, everything is dry and sandy and light. And everything after the watermark is wet and mucky and muddy and dark. And the watermark is right around when time changed from BC to AD. I personally believe it marks the Great Flood. So this season we have gone all the way back to my first life in my book. And that's the life of Little Flower. I've called Little Flower an ancient Mayan before, and I stick to that. I've told you that she lived 10,000 years ago. I've told you this before. In the year 8000 BC. Yes, 1,000. So the lives in the dry, light, sandy beginning of the book are significantly longer than the lives after the flood or after the watermark. And I don't really know why, but it is in a line with the King's List, which is carved into stone in a couple of different languages, and the kings, after a certain point, start living like normal length lives. But before that, they live for thousands of years. I believe Little Flower lived for not only thousands of years ago, but 4,000 of years. She lived in the area of Peru where Machu Picchu is. Some Peruvians still call this place Espiritu Pampa, the plain of ghosts or spirits. Historians and explorers and conquerors have decided and said that this ancient stone city is or was Incan. They say it was built by the Inca. They say it was a palatial retreat for the king of the Inca. I politely disagree with this. Perhaps he ran from something that led him to be there, but he did not build all of Machu Picchu. That Incan king. Apparently he was run off by the Spanish conquistadors. This was in like the 1400s. I'm talking 8,000 BC. 9,000 years prior to that. So Machu Picchu is split in half, two halves nowadays. And I remember, when I say remember from my book, it's not really, you don't really go and read it because it's a meditative thing and it's in a meditative library. I go to a certain section of my book and I touch it and I have a memory. So, what I've remembered from my book are those steps. They call them Incan, but they're Mayan. Originally, I believe that we were Mayans and that we carved those steps. I know I carved at least some of them myself with my own two hands. And it's not something that you forget, carving a mountain. It's not easy work. It's no small feat. And I believe I did it as a little kid. I think they made kids do that because the older people couldn't do it. The kids were young and capable, right? And they had all that energy. Why not put it to good use, I guess, is what they were thinking. But nonetheless, it's not something you can forget, like doing. It's something that stays with your soul. And I dream about those steps. I've always dreamed about those steps. I think the Incan king may have run there as a refuge, probably found it by accident, and thought, oh, this is wonderful. And then I think he added on. He built other buildings. I don't think we as Mayans really had more than 50 people there. I definitely don't think we had 100. This was 8,000 BC. I'm not sure there were 100 people on the planet. So, so, yeah, I think the king just frowned what the Maya left behind. And soon I will talk about their departure. Remember that I've told you that Little Flower taught meditation. So just keep that in mind, and I will explain more next week and in the weeks to come, because this week we've pretty much run out of time. So yeah, and that's pretty much it for me. But remember that Little Flower taught meditation, and that was really all they were teaching the children, besides carving steps and growing things. I mean, they did teach them that. But this was 8,000 BC, so there were no schools. There were no buildings besides the ones they were building. There were no books. There were no pencils. There were no erasers. There were no paper sheets. There was none of that. There weren't even really very many trees there. So they used song for their lives. Bear is sharing with us more than we want him to share with us right now. I'm trying to talk over him, and hopefully it doesn't come out on the recording. But he is sharing. And I'm going to share some song. I was singing for you every week David Crosby's Deja Vu, but I have since wrote a song that is about reincarnation. I was singing Deja Vu because it was the only song I knew that was even sort of about reincarnation. I'm not sure the phenomena of deja vu is connected to reincarnation necessarily, but that feeling where you've been somewhere before, buildings look familiar but older, and you know what's around the corner, and you know what places looked like 100 years ago for some reason. That feeling that you've been there before, that I believe is a reincarnation thing. But these little snippets that I call deja vu, those little moments that everything goes exactly as you've seen it somewhere before, those little moments I think are from our dreams. I just think those little moments are from our dreams. So I am going to sing for you my song Before. Now. Somebody stabbed me in the back, and now I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. But I lack memory of who I was. I must looking back of me, but I lack memory of who I was. Before. Then I opened the door and I found out who I'd been before. Who I was, when I was, where I was. I opened the door to find it there. No more, no more, no more. Well, it turns out we do still have a bit of time. I guess I can use it to talk about some things. I'm working on a new album. It's supposed to come out on November 1st. I really am not sure if I'm going to get it finished by November 1st, but hopefully I do. If I don't, I'm just going to come out with some special edition stuff available at my website, merlinmililli.com, for Potty Mouth, which was my album that came out October 1st. But I really didn't make anything available for it. It's free digitally on YouTube and ad-free too. So I didn't make a physical copy available on the website, mainly because there just doesn't seem to be a whole lot of interest in that. So if you are interested in a copy of Potty Mouth, please let me know. But I am going to make something. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a DVD or a CD. Probably a CD for Potty Mouth. Available at merlinmililli.com. Now that's Merlin, like the wizard, Mililli. No space, all one word. MILLI.com. It's like my Lily, but with all eyes. Mililli. So hopefully I finish sound view and the cover. I have to do everything all by myself. So it's hard for me sometimes with these two shows. I'm making this show and then I make the Love Show also. I've made 6 seasons of the Love Show. I've made hundreds of videos for my music. I put out Soundview will be my 19th album. And I've put them all out by myself because I don't have a record company that represents me. I would like one, but being a Native American woman over 40, no one wants to carry me in their endeavors to make music. But I've written hundreds of songs, and I don't plan on just abandoning my God-given talents and poo-pooing them, because I think that's snubbing your nose up at God for giving you some talents. And so sorry if I didn't really show them this week, and singing before it was a little rough. But I did show off my storytelling talents in the version of The Grateful Dead that I told today, because that was pretty good. The song left a little something to be desired. But the sorry about that. The story was good, and the songs are usually pretty good. It's my allergy season, so it's kind of a hit or miss thing. I'm allergic to molds, and it's fall here, and we've started getting our rains, and the molds have started developing, so the congestion is there, and I apologize. So I also would like to talk a little bit about voting. I think everyone who can should go vote. I think we should consider that This is not a fascist autocratic country, so we shouldn't really be voting for fascist autocrats. It's not really a party, though. I think the Republican Party has leaned way too far that way. People that I knew as Republicans before Trump came along and just demolished the Republican Party, they aren't considering themselves Republicans anymore. Most of them. There's some people like Liz Cheney who are hanging on to the Republican Party, what's left of it, but I really think she's like the only one. One of the last ones. Her and Kinzinger. They were so ostracized by the rest of the people calling themselves Republicans that really aren't. And they point their fingers at other people and call them rhinos, but have you looked up the definition of Republican? Because you people are all acting like Nazis, not Republicans. Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger are acting like Republicans. We're Americans. We're not Nazis. We fought the Nazis and won. Think before you vote. Don't vote because somebody told you you need to, because somebody threatened you or somebody bullied you. Vote so that our children's children aren't bullied into voting for somebody specific that isn't who they want. Don't be bullied. Don't be intimidated. Go vote for who you feel in your heart should have the position, because they're qualified to have the position, not because somebody said they should. So, I guess that's enough for my voting spiel. I hope you all have a great Halloween. This weekend is Halloween weekend. So, happy Halloween. I hope you have a weird and wonderful weekend. Thanks for starting it with us. A Mililli Studios production.